You're welcome to my channel. In this video we are going to be looking at company accounts, and we shall start by defining what a company is. A company is a separate legal entity formed by individuals with the major aim of making a profit. That's what we call a company. A separate legal entity, it means that it is registered, and after it being registered, it becomes separate from those who formed it. So it becomes different, like it is separate from those who formed it. It's not like a sole proprietor or a partnership. For a company, it is separate. It is an artificial person on its own. It is regarded as a person, but an artificial person, so it is separate from those who formed it. That's what we call a company. So let's look at the characteristics of a company. Characteristics of a company. First is that it is a separate legal entity. Separate legal entity, as I said, it's separate from those who formed it. Then it is an artificial person. It is an artificial person. After a company being registered, it's regarded as an artificial person because it can be able to do things on its own. It can sue, it can be sued, it can own property, so it is regarded as an artificial person. Then there is limited liability. There is limited liability when it comes to a company, which is not the case with a sole proprietor and a partnership. Limited liability means that in case the company has debts and it cannot pay its own debts, like they cannot encroach on the personal property of the owners to pay the company's debts. So the owners have limited liability when it comes to a company. Then another characteristic is that it can own property. As we said, that it's an artificial person, so it can own property. Then it can sue, and it can be sued. Then it has perpetual succession. Perpetual succession in that when the owners die, the company will still operate. It will still go on, which is not the case with a sole proprietor or a partnership. When the owners die, they will have to close. Yeah, so for the company, it has perpetual succession. Then there is transferability of shares. So the company, especially for public companies, they allow inviting the public to buy shares. Then there is separation of ownership and management. So for a company, the owners are not the ones that manage the company. or they can also choose to take part, but there is always a separation of ownership and management, in that the shareholders and then the board of directors that manage the company. So those are the characteristics of a company. Then we look at the types of shares. Types of shares. There are very many types of shares, and you can start by defining what a share is. A share is a unit of ownership in a company. The unit of ownership in a company, like what shows that someone has ownership in the company. That's we call a share. So the types of shares that we have the authorized shares, authorized share capital. Authorized share capital, this is the capital that was registered when the company was being registered. The share capital that was registered by the registrar of companies. That's the authorized share capital. Then we have the issued share capital. Issued share capital. Then we have the unissued share capital. So the authorized share capital may be the company registered 300,000 shares, like that. Then the issued share capital, this is the capital that is issued to the public so that they can come and buy. Maybe the company issued 100,000 shares, then the remaining, the difference between the authorized and the issued, gives us the unissued. The unissued share capital is the share capital that was not issued to the public. So this minus that, which is 200, that gives us the unissued share capital. Then the called up share capital, and also the uncalled up share capital. Called up and uncalled up share capital, they make up the issued share capital. So called up share capital is a part of issued share capital that is required to be paid at the company's request. So when the company issues shares, it can say that initially the buyer is supposed to pay at least 50% of the shares. So that 50% is the called up share capital. Then the remaining 50% that is not required initially is the uncalled up share capital. So they issued 100,000 shares, and the called up is 50%, which is 50,000. Then the uncalled up is 50,000 also. So this versus they make up the issued share capital. Then we have the paid up share capital. Then the unpaid up share capital. So the paid up and unpaid up share capital, they make the called up share capital. So from the called up share capital, it's not a must that everyone will pay. So they can pay like for 30,000 shares, and then the difference between the paid up and the called up becomes the unpaid up, like that. Yeah, so paid up share capital is a part of called up share capital that has been paid by the buyers at the company's request. Then unpaid up is a part of called up share capital that has not been paid. Yeah, so those are the types of shares that we have. Then we go to issuing of shares. Issuing of shares, we are going to first look at these terms. We have the nominal value, also known as face value, also known as par value. So this one is the value assigned to the company shares when they were first issued. When they were first issued. And it is usually constant. The value assigned to the company shares when they were first issued, and it is constant. Then the second term that we have is the market value. Market value or market price, or the issue price. So this is the price at which shares are traded in the market. It is the price at which shares are traded in the market, and it is always changing. It can be changed according to the company's interests. Yeah. Then issuing of shares. Shares can be issued at par. They can be issued at a discount. They can be issued at a premium. So if they are issued at par, meaning they are issued at the nominal value or the face value. So if the nominal value of the shares is 1,000, meaning that the shares will be issued at 1,000 at the same value. Then at a discount, they are issued at a lower price compared to the nominal value. So they can issue them at 900. That is a discount because it's less than the nominal value. Then at a premium, it is higher than the nominal value. They can issue the shares at 1,200. So this 1,200, it's like the market value or the issue price. Even this 900 is the market value or the issue price. Even the 1,000, though the market value is the same as the nominal value when the shares are issued at par. So hope you understand that. So market value can also be called the real value. the nominal value can also be called the real value of the shares. Then the market value is the issue price. Then another terms that we have bonus issue. So bonus issue, these are shares issued to shareholders instead of dividends. So sometimes the company can decide to add the shareholders more shares instead of giving them dividends. Dividends is that money that is usually given to the shareholders at the end of the year for owning shares in the company. So it's like sharing part of the profits. So these are shares issued to shareholders instead of giving them dividends. So this can happen, for example, when the company has low levels of cash. So they decide to add them more shares instead of giving them cash. That is bonus issue. So here in bonus issue, there is no transfer of money. Yeah, no transfer of money is involved. So meaning bank is not involved. Then another term we have is rights issue. Rights issue here, they call shareholders to acquire more shares in the company. Shareholders are called to acquire more shares in the company. They are called to acquire more shares in the company, and they are given incentives. They can tell them, for every 1 share that you own, we shall give you 2 shares. Like that. So they call up the shareholders to acquire more shares in the company or to buy more shares. So here, since they are buying, bank is involved, since there is transfer of money.